would you kind of assess where you're at the passing game, pass catchers in particular?
I mean, we got a lot of guys out that'll be playing in the fall for us that we feel that are returning pass catchers for us. 5 or 6 guys right now that aren't even out there. But this is all about bringing the floor up, whether it's a run game, whether it's the pass game, whether it's our defensive scheme. It's all about bringing the floor up. And that's either your individual floor as a player, changing your best, bringing your floor up, or whether it's depth, bringing that floor up. That's what the whole spring's about. And I think you're going to see that across the country, creating your own depth from top to bottom.
How would you evaluate Saturday's scrimmage?
There was some really good. There was some not so good. I think it was tremendous for us to get out there and actually go play. I think this team's got to just continue to keep playing football. The more football we can continue to play in front of each other, again, brings that floor up.
How do you go about choosing which situations you're going to use in practice each time?
I have a chart, and then preseason, we have a philosophy of what we want to be able to do and how we're going to win games. And then what I do is I figure out how many reps we're going to need in each one of those situations. Then we either create it through scripting, or then we create it organically through playing it in a scrimmage type format without tackling. So we hit a ton of situations, and from the I can go on and on about short yards, goal line, backed up, coming out, 2 minute, 4 minute, green zone, tight green, third down, P and 10, first and 10, difference in that. You can keep going, right? Gray zone, blue zone, green zone, tight green zone. But we have a whole chart, and then we just check them off as they come, and then what are we getting the most reps at? What is this team going to need, we feel? How are we going to be able to win games based on what we're doing? This is more about just, again, it's not about, winning the spring against each other. This is about truly winning as a team and raising that floor. I can't say that enough. I mean, that's probably an answer to probably most of your questions, but that's what's fun about it. We got a lot of players out there that are getting valuable experience.
Have you seen a difference in the mentality at all in the defense with Coach Edlin?
I think every coordinator brings their own mentality to it, and then you mix it with the culture that's already existing. I think absolutely. I think one thing about when you bring coaches and personalities in, you want the players to be able to match that. And he is a very intense, very smart football coach that gets the most out of his players very quickly. It did not take long for our players to sit there and go, all right, I trust this guy. This guy's really smart, and he's going to make us better. And I think, again, it's like throwing all the car parts that you don't need out and making your car really efficient and make them play really fast. And I think that's what the difference is from years in the past. Not that was bad. It's just it accumulates from year in, year out. But to get a new voice in there and to be able to get, to get new opinions of the scheme and make it his own, and then input from the other coaches, I think we're in a really good position where I think guys are playing really fast.
With the portal opening on Monday, do you have an idea of what positions you might target?
Right now, I don't know, because it just depends what happens if we lose players or things like that. So I don't know. You can get back to me maybe Monday or the following Monday, and that's probably a better question for that. But right now, I mean, you're looking at, I wouldn't say everything, but you're looking at some positions that you want to maybe get a little bit deeper in.
How would you describe Max's adjustment to a Big Ten program?
Well, I think there's always a learning curve to any program, but I think when you're coming from the FCS up to this level, I think there's just small nuances. Linemen are bigger, windows close faster, shape of the ball matters more. I think football's football, but I think that as you go, I've always said the biggest jump in football, in my opinion, is high school to college. I think when you go to the pros, from here to the pros, everybody's really good, but you played against some of the best in the country. So the speed changes a little bit, but it's, again, you're going from elite to then just above elite, When you're going from high school, it could be, whatever, up to this level. That's a drastic change. But when you're coming from FCF up here, I think it's those nuances. I think he's adapted and adjusted really well to it, but I think he's also very aware of them too. One thing about Max is he has no problem being aware of what he has to continue to get better at. He doesn't think he has all the answers. He is a sponge on the field, off the field, about the game, situationally, and then even himself. I told our team, I mean, you got to be really important to yourself, and you got to be able to take your floor and bring it up. And I think he's a guy that sets the tone with that every day.
What have you seen from the secondary room? Just obviously make another big play this week at this practice. Just what have you seen from their growth in the transfer as well?
Well, we've talked about, you know, how we talk about 78% ball, tackling, explosive plays, and our secondary right now. Again, we've got a lot of guys that are from off-season cleanups, right? And so they're not participating in spring. But when you look at the competition that's going on right now, especially with a lot of the young guys are making plays back there. I mean, they're playing incredibly fast, making plays, getting their hands on the ball, getting PBUs, getting picks, making really hard catches, and making huge plays out of them. And that's what we're going to need in 2024. We did not create enough of that last year. We've been doing a lot of off-season studies of teams that were here and went down to here and why. And then teams that were here and went to here and then maybe back down to here and why, right? And it all fits around the ball. It all fits around tackling, and it all fits around explosive plays, offensively and defensively. And if you can eliminate them on defense and create them and create the takeaways, you're going to be a really good defense. If you can be able to create explosive plays, take care of the ball, you're going to be a good offense. Sometimes we make it harder than it is, but that's the simplistic piece of it, and I think that's what they're getting better at.
PJ, you talked about your skilled playmakers not being out here, not being available. How do you think that affects
Some, we're creating others.
For sure.
Yeah.
How do you think that affects Mac's growth in this offense and getting comfortable with nuances if they're not out there, all of them?
Well, first, you don't have a lot of control over that. You know, guys have off-season cleanups. We're going to make sure we get through the spring really healthy with them, and then they got the whole summer to be able to match up with that. And then that's what training camp's for, and, you know, you just keep practicing. You know, that's part of it. But he's very, very mature. He's going to catch up very quickly. Taking a bunch of guys back down home with him in Georgia here for a few weeks once everybody's healthy and ready to roll. I mean, that's the type of thinker he is and the type of leader he is. So I'm not worried about that. But we're creating more playmakers. Again, take the floor and raise it. There's a lot of young guys out there making a ton of plays right now, and that's better for our football team. Are there some guys that have played a ton of football not out there right now? Absolutely. But that makes the quarterback have to be able to even be better, because either the catch radius isn't as big, the windows aren't going to be as big, the separation might not be there as much, and you got to be better than maybe you would even have to be in a game. And I think that's making him better as we continue to take the floor and raise it up.
If there's one playmaker stepping up that you've seen throughout this entire spring, who is that guy?
Well, I think you look at CA, one of our running backs. You know, I mean, we got a lot of running backs out right now, or they're in and they're limited. But when you look at him, I mean, he's coming here, and, you know, he was a really good player back where he came from, and especially his freshman year, and he's had to learn a lot. But he's made a ton of plays from the run game to the pass game. I've been really impressed with what he's been able to do. You know, I think a guy like Pierce Walsh has really come on strong as a freshman, as a tight end, and he's gained the weight that he needed to gain. But, boy, he can run, and he can catch, and he can block, and he's tough. That's fun to always see. And then I think Nuke Hayes has made a bunch of plays the last few days, you know, and that's fun. He had a great scrimmage on Saturday. And that's what's fun about creating that depth. Who are the next guys? You know, this thing moves really fast. I mean, really fast. So you've got to evaluate maybe even faster than you have, and you know, and keep developing.
Take one or two more for Coach.
Usually, some moving pieces on the offensive line. What's about that?
Well, yeah, it's spring. You know, remember, you're not winning the job in the spring. We're finding out what we have as a football team to set ourselves up to go compete for a job in training camp and go win the job. But you're competing with yourself to make yourself better in spring. Everybody's at a completely different level right now in the spring. And that's the non-judgment zone, where everybody's at a completely different level. I just want you to get better. Just keep getting better. And there's times we'll take a freshman, throw him in with the ones, see what he does. I mean, there's no better way just to throw him in the ocean and see how he swims. And that's what we're doing with a lot of guys. But we're also still getting our 8 to 9 guys, whatever it is, that are going to be able to rotate. Who's going to be that 5th, 6th guy? You know, what does it look like in multiple lineman sets? I can go on and on. We're creating depth at positions. What positions can other guys take? What can they learn? Can they move down to play guard? Who's the third center? I mean, we're doing a lot of things to find answers to, so then we can make that depth chart going into the training camp in the summer where everybody can now compete.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You got it. Row the boat, Sky, Michael Gophers. Thanks for being here, everybody.